Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and welcome to the broadcast. We, just for those of you who may be watching us on the replay, I just want to give you a heads up if you haven't been to one of the broadcasts before. What we do is the front end, we're inclined to do news, views, and updates, and then we get on to the topic of the day. Now, for those of you who don't like necessarily to hear the news and views of our various viewers, understand we're like an extended family. So we actually do care. Hi, Jody. We actually do care about one another, and we like to do updates. So you're going to see at the bottom here, it's going to say from 00 to such and such a time, news, views, and updates. And then from this time onwards, the topic of the day. And the topic of today is about staying calm. We're about to head into some pretty heavy, stressful periods for a lot of people. Except for those who are terribly well organized, who probably have got everything sorted out for both American Thanksgiving and for Christmas. But for the rest of us, we're doing these broadcasts to help ourselves stay calm. And if you tune into the next broadcast that you will see, there we're talking about literally what we're doing and how it helps. Hi there, Pat, good to see you. So that's really, really important that you understand there are two different times. And just in terms of thoughts and prayers, Jody, I continue to have thoughts and prayers for your continued sleep. I'm delighted to hear that you are doing much better with your sleep. And isn't it interesting that by getting out of the recliner and going back to a bed has made that much difference? And I'm wondering, in part of me wonders whether maybe changing it up every now and then is a good idea. You're using different muscles, you're relaxing different muscles and not putting the pressure on the same ones because it's a totally different way. I must admit, I'm very fortunate that my bed moves, the head area moves, the feet area moves, and I actually work at changing that position on quite a regular basis, just so that I'm not always sleeping on exactly the same pressure points. I wonder if that makes sense to anybody. Pat, what about you? Because I know that you deal with also. Hi, Charlotte. Good to see you. So anyway, thoughts and prayers for you there. I haven't heard an update from Erin other than the fact that she colored her hair. I don't know if any of you saw that, but she's colored the bottom half of her hair bright pink. And you know it's her favorite color. So it was really good. Okay, Pat's saying she's sleeping well now. That's good to hear. I must admit, I got it up to an average of 7 hours a night. And then last week and this week, I haven't been doing so well. So a bit more discipline. Her hair is gorgeous, yes, but so is her attitude. I heard from Lizzie, and she's having some tests done as well, and I'll talk about that I say as well because I'm also having some tests done. But she's hanging in there, and I'm sure that everybody will keep her in her thoughts and prayers because she's having a tough time of it at the moment. Now then, for those of you who like this part of the year, because I start doing it, I wish to tell you there are only 123 more days until spring. Or if you happen to be in the Southern Hemisphere, until autumn. So I am not a person that does winter well. I've for some reason, winter is not a time of year that I necessarily do very well. So what I do is when I get to autumn, I start counting down until spring. And yes, Charlotte, you'll be able to start running again pretty soon. Now, for those of you who haven't already worked it out, I thought I'd start doing the countdown, that there are only 27 days left until Christmas. No, that can't be right. Yeah, I suppose, no, it can't be 27, surely. Anyway, I'll work that one out for the evening broadcast. It must be 25 plus, it must be 37, I think. Anyway, and for those of you who do Thanksgiving, in November. Some of us do Thanksgiving in October. But for those of you in the States who do Thanksgiving, you got a week. And so I'm going to continue to just do those updates for everybody, because I think when we deal in reality, life's going to be a lot better for us. Mid-February, you start running again, really? And it's so cold where you are, Charlotte. That's amazing. Right, so if you are definitely, it is 37, yeah. That's what I thought. I had a typing moment. The thing I wanted to say for those people who may be ghosting, we always welcome people ghosting. That's when you're watching, but not necessarily part of the conversation. And if you have anything you'd like me to particularly talk about, please write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. And I will do what I can to include your topic in an upcoming broadcast. Right, we're going to be talking one step at a time. And I wanted to just say, yeah, Charlotte saying October Thanksgiving for the win. Yeah, that's for those of us who live in Canada. But for the rest of America, because you understand theirs is more important than ours, apparently. But I love them anyway. One step at a time, health-wise. I wanted to talk a little bit about the changes I've made in the last couple of weeks, and Jody has as well. So there are two of us talking about this. Oh, excuse me. My allergies are giving me heck today. Number one, again, I'm going to say it because how did I live, as Jody so rightly said as well, how did I live to this great age without knowing that the combination of peanut butter and honey was to die for? I mean, not literally, but, it was awesome. And, Jody was saying to me, the combination is so good that it actually makes her want to eat vegetables more just so she can have it. The other thing I think I might have mentioned last week, I was going to try, it's to sigh for. Thank you, Jody. What a great change up. Yes, it's to sigh for, it really is. The other thing, last week I talked about the fact that I was going to try changing up brown rice and white rice together. In other words, cook both. And then mix them 50-50. I want to tell you the combination is amazing. You don't notice the difference in taste. In fact, if anything, the taste is improved because I didn't realize it, but brown rice actually has quite a nice little taste to it. And so what you've got is tastier rice. That's the only change I noticed. Excuse me, I didn't notice a change in color when I mixed them up. I didn't notice that you could see one and not the other. So just so that some of you might want to try that. The other thing is that without a doubt, I'd have to say that this meal prepping, getting your meals prepped, I do 3 helpings in advance. In other words, if you open up my fridge right now, I've got 3 lunches in there, 3 desserts in there, 3 fruit smoothies ready to go. So just wanted to let you know that I've got sort of, that sort of thing. And I know Jody's doing the same thing. And it is amazing what a difference it's made. And I say Jody's also reported back to me that she's found this as well. I'm finding I am eating much better. I'm eating less and much better. When I say less junk. I'm not eating less because I'm eating good stuff. But it is amazing that I'm not craving things. I don't know about you, Jody, but I'm not craving things the way that I was. So just a thought for any of you who might want to try that. Let me see what Jody has to say. So if any of you've got any input on substitutions, just let me know which ones you found are easy and tasty. I'm not interested in just the substitutions. I'm interested in the ones that are tasty. The Halloween candy, it finished. I see. Jody's saying she hasn't finished the remainder of a Halloween candy since she's been doing this meal prepping. Yeah, mine are finished. Yeah. and you know, I'm having to be very careful because I've started to buy candy and little things of candy for the kids. And, you know, I have to be very careful to remind myself not to eat that. So I just want to do a time check here, Jody, for you, if I may. And the time would be 11 minutes. And we're going to start talking about staying calm. And there are I've got a couple of stories for you that I thought might help you go through this, because what I want you to do, if you can, and want us to do, because it includes me, is during this upcoming season, is to really work hard at staying calm. You know, whether it's Thanksgiving, whether it's whatever it is that you're doing. We're going to be talking more about this in the second broadcast, the one I will do tonight, in terms of particularly about Christmas. But I just want to talk today about staying calm against the onslaught of stress. Now, some of you know I went to the doctor this week and I went to the specialist. And I actually did really well at the doctor's. In fact, we did so well, he forgot to take my blood pressure, and I only realized that afterwards. But it's not a biggie because it's been very constant and I keep a track of it. I then went on, as some of you may have seen in the vlog that I did, I then went on to a specialist. And I said in the vlog that I was going for a CAT scan, and I was wondering whether any of you reacted to that. Did any of you, because I know you care, did any of you start to worry right there and then? My gosh, Sal's going for a CAT scan. Hi, Trina. Because if so, I'd like you to look at that. Yeah, I'm sure, Jody. You know, if you hadn't told me the truth, then I would have been surprised. Yeah, I thought about it as I said it. I thought, oh gosh, if I mention CAT scan, Jody's going to start worrying immediately. So Jody, why do you do that to yourself? You know, why don't you go, oh, that's good. Knowing Sal, that'll be clear. Because isn't that what you know of me? I mean, if you talk about your experience with me, how many tests have I had done that turned out to be negative? All right. So I want you to think about that experience. You know, don't worry. Now, what I want to ask you, Jody, is why do you do that to yourself? Why do you worry about everything? And you can tell me, okay, Sal, it's because I care. All right. And I would believe that. But the truth is, you worrying yourself sick, does that help my health at all? Yeah. You know, Charlotte, I didn't know a year ago that that I could have a free CAT scan because I'm a smoker, ex-smoker. Apparently, it's a new thing. Yeah. So that to me, that was like, oh gosh, that's good to know. And it's good to have. Right. Jody's answering me now, and she says, "You're so right." After I panicked, I said, "Isn't it awesome that they have that technology to do these things?" Yes. And isn't it awesome that I live in Canada and I get that for free? Right? And isn't it awesome that I will have a benchmark to know that as of this year, this is how good I am? Yes, Linda, I understand it's because you all care, but how many of you agree with me? The moment you hear the word CAT scan, You think the worst. Right, Jody, it doesn't help at all to worry. And Jody, you just told me a lie. And you know I don't allow that. Jody then went on to say, and I vow to always stay still for you. Jody, that would mean you would change your character. And I don't believe you're capable of doing that, nor would I want you to. But I would like you to look at how many times you go into the worst case scenario rather than the best. Yeah, I've known you too long. There's no way you couldn't do that. So I thought it was interesting. However, also, if you listen to that blog, I got into a major argument with, well, not a major because I decided to let it go, but I got into an argument with my specialist. You know, about a year ago, I went there and he told me something. And, you know, he absolutely, when I went there, he absolutely swore blind that he didn't say that because he wouldn't. And, you know, I think you guys know me pretty well, and there's no way I'm going to make that up. And I started to say to him, but really you did. And I thought, why am I wasting my time? Does that make sense to anybody? My need to be right and prove him wrong was what was happening. And I'm going, he's never going to admit that he said this because he's just said for me to say that would have been unethical. And I know he said it. So what's the point of carrying on? It's a bit like worrying. Is it going to make the appointment any better if I keep arguing with him and tell him that he's wrong? So what I did was I just said to him, you know, I have to tell you, it impacted me enough that I immediately did a vlog about it. So I know it was said, but I'm just going to leave it. And he didn't like it. I have to tell you something. You could see by his body language, he didn't like that I said it, and he didn't believe that he'd said it. And so what I wanted to talk to you about is what would you do in future in order to stay calm, because I have to go back. Yes, Charlotte, you're right. You know, it's not worth getting your knickers in a twist or your blood pressure up just to prove yourself right. Why would you do that? I've just noticed that my top nearly matches the orchid. And why would I do that? Right? Why would I just, and by the way, how many of you do that? You get into a fight that you can't win. Instead of saying, hey, let's agree to disagree, which is basically what I did. Let's agree to disagree. And he will swear blind that he never said it. So my question to you, because you are all people that either have spent time going to doctors and specialists or will spend time going to doctors and specialists. So if we know that this happens, yes, Linda's saying, I would take notes at the appointment. I'm going to start doing that with him, right? I am going to start doing that with him. I'm going to start, when he tells me anything that I find interesting, if you know what I mean, I'm going to write it down. I always take a book with me anyway. I'm going to write it down. And as I write it, I'm going to say, okay, so I just want to make sure I'm writing down the right thing. You're saying da 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 da, and just hold on a second while I write that down, because obviously it's important now. And now I've got it in my, what I call my Bible. I do any of you carry a book with you when you go to important things so that you can keep notes that you don't want to? Yeah, Jodie's saying she does as well. Very, very important. Now, the other thing was, and Beth suggested this, which was, put on the voice recorder on your phone. I don't know if any of you have that or know where it is, but mine's actually on the front of my phone, so I can just press it. It's really useful when I'm in the car. If I'm in the car and I think of something, I just press the voice recorder. Have any of you noticed you've got one on your phone? So it, and by the way, it stays on. So the next time you press it, it just continues. And then when you get home, you can have, like 6 notes on there, but it's all on one bit of recording, which is very useful for me at my age. Linda says, I always take notes and use my menopause brain as an excuse. Yes. Charlotte's saying she has a few, but I would recommend that you keep the voice recorder on the front page of your screen, the first screen that comes up. So, because it is very useful to do that and to jog your memory. All right, now I'm going to give you another story now. And what I want you to do is to react as you normally would, and then we'll discuss that as well. Okay, Jody's saying, my doctor's office has a sign in the office saying, no phones allowed. They tried to take mine away, and I told them my notes were on it. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, Charlotte's saying she does on her iPad and Apple. Yeah, devices have it, definitely. Yeah, and with the technology today, I agree with you, Jody. I would not let anybody tell me no phone. It's like, excuse me, you may tell me I'm not allowed to talk on my phone or receive calls, because that would cause me to talk. But don't tell me I can't have my phone. If you're going to make me wait like you do in a doctor's office, I need something to entertain me, and it's going to be my phone. It keeps me quiet. Otherwise, I would be very noisy. How many of you agree with me? Yeah. So, try that. Excuse me. I did that once. I think some of you remember that story. I did that once when I went on, I was going on a flight and they canceled the flight. They didn't cancel it. They delayed it because of fog. And I asked for my luggage back because I wanted to get where I was going a different way. And, because I needed to be somewhere. I was a speaker and I needed to be somewhere. So, I couldn't afford to wait for when they might have another flight. I needed to get a cab if necessary to take me where I needed to go. And it was interesting because they didn't want to give me my luggage back, because it had been processed. And I said, last time I checked, if you've taken my luggage and I'm asking for it back and you're refusing to give it back to me, I think that's called theft. They didn't like that at all. They didn't like that at all. And I said, I really don't mind that you don't like it. It's not my problem. My problem is I need my luggage. And if you don't want me to, have a look at me, understand my job is I'm a professional speaker. So my voice can project if I want it to, right across this airport. And I will tell people exactly what I think. And probably start a run on people trying to get their luggage back. And so I said, look at me in the eyes and ask yourself, do I believe that she would do that? By the way, let me give you a clue. The answer is yes. Please find my luggage. I have to be somewhere speaking in a short time and I need to get out of here. And so, and by the way, my next thing is going to be for the police. Because, I need my property. So, there are times when we need to stand up. And so I can't believe that people take no phones allowed, really. And maybe that isn't what they tried to take your phone away. Wow. Did you speak to the doctor about that, Jody? I mean, the more I look at that, the more horrified I am. I'd literally be talking to the doctor about that and say, I understand you may not want people talking on their phones, then say that, but don't tell me no phones allowed. Put a note up and say, please take your calls outside of the waiting area. whatever it is you're trying to achieve, but don't say no phones, because it was a doctor that tried to take it, really. Yeah, you see how scared they are. Oh, well, such is life. All right, so here's my next story. Some of you may know, because I might have mentioned it, that I had an issue with a hard drive, an external hard drive. Yes, Jody, right, she thought you were going to record it. You see, they're scared of that now because we can. And we always have been able to since the days of Walkman, but you know, when I think back to Walkman, do any of you remember the Walkman? I think they do get scared, because that makes them accountable at a whole different level. But we are entitled to it, because we do keep notes on it. So here's my next thing. I was having a problem with my external hard drive. So on Monday, I took it in and talked to the Best Buy people about it. And Beth's husband had said that he thought it was the case around the hard drive that was wrong. And they told me that they managed to get one computer on their system that recognized the hard drive, and another one didn't. So I knew that was a problem. But they basically told me I was out of luck, that they couldn't get the information. They said it looked like my hard drive had been formatted. Well, you know, I didn't format the hard drive. So I want you to imagine for a second, that was the 2018 hard drive, and it had everything that I had done this year on that hard drive. What is your reaction? I imagine that happened to you, and that I back everything. I actually don't store things on my computer anymore, because I've had so many computers fail that I always go straight to the hard drive. Everything goes directly to the hard drive. So that is a year of Dear Mama Sal, and year of photos, a year of artwork, a year of financial information. How do you guys relate to that? I mean, what would your reaction be if you had that happen? And the reason I ask that is because it's really important that you think this through. Nobody has a reaction. I'm amazed. Nobody cares? Wow. All right, so if you're watching this on the replay. Apparently nobody. Oh, okay. Jody says, I would feel like there was a theft. Okay. And Charlotte says, my hard drive is important to me. There are things that are valuable. What are the options to help me? Okay. Linda says, when I came back off the roof, she would have gone through the roof, she'd be livid. Well, seriously, and I thank you for your honest reactions, all right, because that's what I wanted to deal with. And now think again and tell me, does feeling like there was a theft make it any better, Jody? Just logically, does that make it any better? And Charlotte, the fact that things are valuable and that I've lost them, does it make it any better? Linda, once you came off the roof, you'd be livid. Does being livid bring you back that information? You see, that's the point that I want to make, is that I think the guy was quite surprised because I looked at him and said, oh, short word. I guess that's gone then. Because what I realized was that I did say that there's no way to get into that hard drive. Yes, Jody, you're quite right. It doesn't make it better, but I would need a moment to process the feeling. Yes. And the feeling of loss is important because that is exactly what I felt. Oh my gosh, that's a year's worth of memories gone. And then because I'm in this new mode, I don't know what's happened to me, but I'm in this new mode and it was like, and it's gone as far as I know. I will not throw the hard drive away because I still might send this, somewhere and have somebody. Oh, by the way, they did say they could look at it. Just hang on. Let me give you the second part of the story. They did say they could send it to have that checked to see if they could rescue anything off it. The minimum that would cost would be $300, but it could cost up to $1,500. So I don't know about you, but I had to say to myself, is it really worth that sort of money? $300 would be money I could spend on Christmas. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, now that I'm retired, money is important in a different way. And so what I realized was this is a choice I get to make. Do I want to spend $300, maybe $1,500? Now, the part of me goes, maybe after I've sold the house, I will consider having a look at it, but right now, no, that's not going to happen. But do you understand how I had to let go of the worry? Because the worry doesn't do me any good. Does that make sense? And so what I would like you to do, if you would, is to start thinking about, how much you go immediately into worry or stress. And really, it doesn't help you. I just need to, sorry, I'm just having a look at my, not laptop, my tablet here, because I had, I especially had, I'll get the words out in a minute. Be patient with me. I had some quotes that I wanted to talk to you about, and they disappeared. Really. Yes, so this is what I want you to do. As you're getting ready for Thanksgiving, for example, let me ask you, for those of you who else, other than Jody, who else is in the States? But for those of you who are, you've got a week to go. What I heard, and I want you to think about this, I found some quotes that I thought might help us, all right? And so here's the first one. It says, and let's discuss these. The first one I found was, the time to relax is when you don't have enough time for it. Think about that. The time you most need to relax is when you think you don't have enough time for it. Oh, okay. So yes, Linda's saying that the reaction, all right, the reaction that she had would probably is an instinct to be angry. Yes, because Linda, you care, right? And you care about the stuff that you could have lost or whatever, but it doesn't help. I'm thinking about those poor people in California who have just lost their houses, and they are very rich people and they are very ordinary people, but they've all lost everything. All right. And by the way, the rich people lost very rich things that people have when they're rich. And the ordinary people lost memories as well. And, don't think that rich people don't have memories, because they do, right? So they've all lost everything. And will getting upset about that bring it back? No. And that's what I've always watched people and wondered, how can some people just say, I'll start again? And, I'm going, because that's the only intelligent thing to say. And it doesn't matter whether I'm 71 or whatever. All the worrying, getting angry, getting stressed in the world is not going to bring back my hard drive. Doing something about it might, but that takes money that I don't have at the moment. And that's okay. And, is it really that important? Or can I survive missing 1 year of my stuff? I was trying to think what's on there. 1 year of my artwork upset me, but, I've still got most of it, so what do I care? You know what I mean? It's just like, I've got to just get practical about this. The lesson that I wanted to talk about in that is, how do you store your stuff? And I forgot to mention that. I'm going to recommend, and this is what I'm going to do. A friend of mine is a realtor, Patty. Some of you have met her on the blogs. Patty is a realtor, and she insists on important things being printed out anyway. She still does old school. And this is exactly why. So the lesson there is, if it's important to you, still print it. And that's what I'm going to suggest to you as viewers. If it's important to you, print it anyway. All right? Even though you can store it on your hard drive or whatever. Yes, you've got to start filing again, but if it's important, it's worth it. The other thing, yes, exactly, Linda, Vistaprint. Make sure that your important pictures are printed, or print them. If you've got a printer that's capable of doing that, do that as well. The other thing is, if you're going to back it up in 2 different places. That was what my other suggestion was. In other words, if you have it on your computer, also have it on a hard drive somewhere or up on the cloud. Now you can say, well, maybe the cloud can get hacked by whoever. I assure you, if they're going to hack it, they've done it already. Hi, Kerry, good to see you. And so, this is really important that we understand that, right? That the information that we have digitally today, if it's important, print it out or double save it, right, on 2 different places. So if it's on your computer, that's great, but also have it somewhere else. So if you've got it on the cloud, maybe also have it on a second cloud or something. You understand my point? Right, this is good. So that's the first one. The time to relax is when you don't have the time for it. That means breathe. The second one of the best pieces of advice I ever got was from a horse master. He told me, go slow to go fast. I think it applies to everything in life. We live as though there aren't enough hours in the day, but if we do each thing calmly and carefully, we will get it done quicker and with less stress. Want me to read that again? Or did you get it? I think that is very good wisdom. Stressing about I won't get it done is a waste of time. Calmly doing something about it is the way to get things done. And so I just think that is such a good quote. It really is amazing to remember that. I thought it was fantastic advice as well, Jody. I just thought, boy, I need to remember that. Actually, I do say that. I think some of you know my expression, Sal, it takes as long as it takes. All right. And that's when I start going, oh, I can't get this done. I can't get it done. It's not going right. I go, breathe. It takes as long as it takes. I think Jody and Lauren know that more of me than probably most people, because we sort of chat during the day every day, just about. So every day. So, there have been times when I literally have tried to put up a vlog when I'm doing vlogs, where I had to put it up 3 different times. And I remember one vlog, to get it up and on the air, onto YouTube and working, took me over 12 hours. It is what it is, and it takes as long as it takes. Yeah, both my sayings that I say to myself. Yes, and so you're quite right, Linda, because now that I think about it, that's what I said about the hard drive. Well, it is what it is. Okay, thank you. And now I know the facts. And it takes as long as it takes, because have you noticed that the things you don't think are going to take you a lot of time, take you way more time than you think? But the next thing that you think is going to take you a lot of time takes you only this amount of thing. So what I do, and this is my new thing, is I try to put in 6 things I want to accomplish on any day. And what I literally allocate, time for each of those, but I just go down the list in order of importance. And I, that's how I do it now. Yes, Jody's saying, I remember that you never give up. You will not be beaten. Well, actually, it's not true, Jody. There are some things that have beaten me, but, I try not to. I actually, if it's important to me, I never give up. No, whether it's over, whatever it is, if it's important to me, I don't. If it ceases to be important to me, I'll let it go. But other than that, I'll keep trying. By the way, I wanted to ask if any of you don't do. Yeah, Linda's saying, yeah, I make a daily list, small achievements, all right? And then she goes back and she has small little goals. And then if she's finished all of them, then she goes back and does more if she's got time. That's exactly what I'm doing as well. 1 step a day, right? This is what our 1 step at a time broadcast. And that is exactly what I do. I found something really interesting happen to me this week, Linda, where I have got different things now that are on the cards, right? I've got downsizing, I've got Christmas starting, and we'll talk a bit more about that this evening. And what I find is I've got a new routine. I go, first of all, into the craft room that I'm trying to downsize, and I'm about 3/4 of the way there, people. And I load a box, or I throw things in a box, all right? I don't sort it, I don't look at it, just grab things and throw it in a box. Can you imagine that? It's called box. Because one of my goals every day is to take 2 boxes to the garage, right? Doesn't say sorted boxes, doesn't say whatever, it just says 2 boxes to the garage. So I huck things into boxes. I've got these banker boxes because I can carry them. And then what I do is I put them near the top of the stairs. And then each time I go downstairs, I will take a box with me. Now, some of them get stored. I've got a half landing on my way down the stairs. Some of them get stored there. Then what I do is I take 1 box from the half landing and I take it to the garage. And then, I know this will surprise you, it's quicker to sort it in the garage. Did you know that? It's quicker to sort it in the garage. In the garage, if you could see this, I should show you. I'll take some footage. But I have a garbage bin, I have a recycling bag, and then in between, I have boxes. And it's like office, garage, office, garden. They're all different boxes with different categories. And behind me are all the boxes I've already sort of packed up. And some have got some room in them, like one of my craft boxes still has room. So all I do is I literally go down there and I go, okay, that's garbage, that's for recycling, that goes in the craft box, and it's amazing. And then I'm putting what's on the craft in the craft box, obviously. So And I got this new system and it's much quicker. But when I've taken the box from the craft room, I then go to the kitchen where I'm working on some Christmas projects now. All right. And I do a little bit on the Christmas project. It's amazing. And then, but I only have so much time. I'm thinking about, Linda, you really helped me with that. You have 10 minutes to complain. After that, we stop. I literally do that until dinner time. At dinner time, that all gets packed up. I don't care whether I'm going to go back and do more tomorrow. It all gets packed up and tidied up. And then I concentrate on me. This is all done. All right. So here's the next one. Much of the stress that people feel doesn't come from having too much to do. It comes from not finishing what they've started. Would you agree? How many half-finished things do you keep looking at? And let me tell you my experience from downsizing. You'll be amazed how many half-finished things I have hucked into the garbage. Jody says she's the queen. And it's funny because I pick it up and I go, I remember starting that. It got, it ceased to amuse me, so I stopped. And then, part of me wants to put it away in case I feel like finishing it one day. And I'm going, you're not going to finish it, so throw it. Pat says that's not me. It would drive her crazy. Pat, we're trying to learn your way of doing things, some of us. But it's nice to know that some people can finish everything they start. I guess I wouldn't have like 2 garbage bags full of wool if I had finished every project I started to knit in the days when I was still knitting or crocheting. Yeah. Now, part of me is thinking that one day I'm going to pull out I've got a knitting machine, of course. You're not surprised, right? I haven't got that far yet. And that's in the back of the last cupboard. But, it's like I've got a knitting machine and I'm thinking I'd love to try weaving wool. I mean, what a great way to be able to, take all those wools and weave them into scarves or whatever and give them away to the homeless or something. And me, I probably will do that one day. I'm not throwing the wool away. Yeah, very good. So Lee Iacocca said, in times of great stress or adversity, it's always best to keep busy, to plow your anger and your energy into something positive. How many of you have learned that trick? All right? That when you're feeling stressed, don't think, do. Right? And I know that a lot of you have heard me say that. The way that I got out of a life of situational depression, I was constantly in and out of depression and for a large portion of my life. And what I learned was you do not think your way out of depression. You do your way out. The pills help you cope if you're on pills. But the truth is, unless you do something, you're not going to get out. If you just sit and think how sad your life is, you're actually not going to get very much better. All right, so Jody says, talking about finishing projects, she said, it's all started in middle school when I never finished macrame bunny I'd started in art class. Or macrame. Oh, it depends what country you're in. What do they say in the States? Do they say number 1, macrame, or do they say macrame? Which is 2, 1 or 2 in the States. All right, Linda, in England, is it macrame or macrame? Yeah, in the States, it's macrame. Macrame, right. Linda, in England, do they say macrame? Now, the reason I say that is I believe that when I was doing it, in Africa. Yes, macrame. Yeah. Okay. Yep. So it just, whichever one it is, the stuff with the string, people, when you make this stuff. Thank you, Jody, for a memory that most of us have forgotten. Do you know, I used to teach this to all the African women. I lived on a farm. And what I did is I learned this skill. And then I had lessons every week for all the local women who, had, the local women didn't have a way of earning a lot of money. And I taught them how to make these and then sell them to their own, to the people they worked for. I was going to say owners, that's ridiculous. For the people that they worked for. And they did. And they all thanked me so much. And I said, well, it's a big thing at the moment. You might as well know how to do it. And then, they sold it to their friends and And, a lot of people came back to me and said, thank you so much for teaching me how to do that. I really, and what I did is the first one that they worked on, I gave them the materials, all right, to make it so they could then go and sell it and then use that money to buy more string to do it. And it was actually amazing. I used to do all sorts of things like that. Never mind, that's my stuff. Bruce Lee said, it's not a daily increase, but a daily decrease. Hack away at the inessentials. Hack away at the inessentials. I have a habit of overdoing everything. Do any of you relate to that? I was making one card this week that, and because of the way I think, I ended up doing 2 days worth of work on this one card because, I knew I could make it better. And I knew I could make, and I just kept adding to it. And I'm going, I could have had this done in like a very short time if I didn't have my creativity. And so I would say that, which is be careful of your creativity. And sometimes just getting something done is good enough, right? And if you've got time, remember what Linda said, if you've got time at the end to do better, then do it. But first of all, get it done. So the greatest weapon against stress is, and now listen to this is really awesome. Our greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. One thought over another. In other words, I choose not to be stressed. It is what it is. It takes as long as it takes. Let me just keep concentrating. How many of you know that the magic word in this is focus? All right. It's not more time. It is more focus. Let me focus on doing this. What I didn't tell you was whilst I was making this one card, I probably have made 10 others. Plus I have made other things because I had to keep waiting. I had to keep waiting for things to dry and do stuff like that. And I just started something else. And so what I'm not really aware of yet is I am much further ahead than I thought I was, because not only have I done this one thing, I've done a whole stack of others as well. Plus I learned new skills. It was very exciting. All right, so how do you like this one? So, okay, so just remember that the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. Yes, Linda's saying, I would if my inner voice would shut up. There's only one person that controls your inner voice, and that's you. And our perfectionist voice is the one that causes the most trouble. Would you agree? I can make this even better. Or it's not good enough. Right? Or I haven't done enough for this person, or whatever it is. So think about that. So in order to reduce your stress this season, we're going to be talking more about that this evening, but this is really important to just keep these mantras inside your head. It is what it is. It takes as long as it takes. Just get it finished. And then you can move on. Now, this is quite an interesting one. This quote says, "It's a good idea to always do something relaxing prior to making an important decision in your life." How about that one? If you want to reduce your stress and keep calm, be calm before you make an important decision. Yes, Linda. Linda's saying that she's made a present for her son, but she can't let it go. She keeps tweaking it. How many of you really recognize that one? All the perfectionists out there, I'm certain you will relate to that, right? You've got it made, but you keep wanting to just improve it. Yeah, I totally relate. It's no wonder we get stressed out. All right, doing something that is productive is a great way to alleviate emotional stress. Get your mind doing something that's productive. How many times have you heard me say that? Don't think about this. Go do something to get your mind off it. Thinking about it is not going to fix anything unless you're actually thinking about the solutions. But thinking about why somebody did that to you. Really? Ask them. Or if you haven't got the courage to ask them, let it go, because quite honestly, worrying about it doesn't fix it. If you are emotionally stressed about something, think about this. It's emotion. We control emotion. It's not fact. It's an emotion. And how many of you learned that one this year? My emotion is my problem. It's not anybody else's problem. It's mine. If I'm being troubled emotionally, it's because I'm not thinking straight. Okay, Pat, good to see you, honey. All right, so my emotion is my problem, and I'm really getting much stronger on that now, and it's helping me. So do something productive. It's a great way to alleviate emotional stress. All right. Make sure you remember that. So if you're feeling emotional, go and do something. Yeah, thank you, Linda. Linda says you taught me how to say this is my issue. If you're angry, if you feel rejected, let's think of what other emotions have we got? Jealous, mind you, equally so. Hi, Amel. Good to see you. Equally so, if you're happy, that's your stuff too, right? If you're inspired, that's your stuff. You did that. So it works both ways, Linda. If you're creative, you chose to take the time to do that. I'm great, thank you. If you're judgmental, you chose to do that. That's, or if you are not judgmental, that's your choice. So, you look at all of those things, and the negative ones cause us stress, and the positive ones make us feel a whole lot better. So if we work about keeping calm, one of the ways we keep calm is to keep this calm. The greatest mistake, listen to this, I love this. The greatest mistake you can make in life is to continually fear that you're going to make one. I find that funny. The greatest mistake you can make in life is to constantly fear that you're going to make one. Yeah, isn't that the truth? Well, how about stress is caused by being here, but wanting to be there? Right, so stress, if stress is caused because you're here, but you want to be there, that means we're not living in the present, right? That means we're living in Disneyland. Now, if you're spending your time working your way to there, that's another thing. All right. But if you're just jealous because I want to be there, I want to have what they have, the grass is always greener. Exactly, Trina. Yeah. And so the reason I always say that, and you'll be amazed how many people are so jealous of, and I've said this many times, of the YouTubers who have done well. And the amazing thing is that I keep saying, you have no idea how much hard work it is to do well at YouTube, and even more so now than it was before. That is so cute, Linda. She says, I must admit now I have situations that come up and now I take a breath and ask, okay, so? No, okay. And Sal would do or say what now? Yeah, and I'm not perfect. You do know that. And I still lose it every now and then. But it helps to have somebody on your shoulder. All right. The same way, Linda, is I think about you and that, you really inspired with me with that 10-minute rant. You're allowed 10 minutes to complain. After that, it stops. I think that is such a great thing to do with somebody. You have 10 minutes to rant if you want to, but after that, I haven't got time for it. Do something about it or shut up. Yeah, it's just amazing. So, I think you need to know that we all give to one another. That's what I love about doing the broadcast. It's not just me. It's you all contribute in your own way. All right. So Lily Tomlin, the comedian, she said, for fast acting relief, try slowing down. Isn't that true? The stress we put on ourselves is half the problem of our stress and our overload. And somehow our devils are never quite what we expect when we meet them face to face. How many of you have had that situation where you really don't want to do something and you procrastinate and you don't want to do it because it's going to be hard and it's going to be a problem, and you procrastinate and then eventually you got your shoulders against a wall and you have to do something. And when you do it, you go, God, that was a lot easier than I thought it was. Why didn't I do this 2 months ago? And if you've ever done that, then welcome to my world, right? And, quite often just doing it. Linda, I totally agree with you. The baby steps is the way to get things done. I found now that I've got this system going with 2 boxes a day into the garage is, very doable. It's very doable. Yes, it's like facing up to a bully. Yes. And it requires that we use courage, and it requires that we face our fears. So is it true then that a lot of our stress comes from our fear? Our fear of doing something, or our fear of not being able to do something. I remember somebody saying to me, I can't believe that you can do woodwork and you can use all these power tools and things. That's amazing. And I go, why is that amazing? Well, I never learned how to do that. I said, because you didn't want to, or you didn't have to. How many of you understand that one? The reason I used a lot of power tools is because I didn't have a husband, and that could use power tools, right? So therefore I had to learn if I wanted to do something. The reason I learned to build bookcases or do whatever was because I wanted to, and I needed the tools. And me, I got the tools. I got the gizmos in that garage of mine. And so, it's really a case of we can do a lot more than we think we can. I was saying to Jody yesterday that, I've got this die cutting machine that I use, And I'm learning every time I use it. Yeah, Linda's saying, I never put on makeup because I really didn't want to, right? And so, that's interesting, right? It takes time and effort, and you have to care, or I didn't want to get it wrong. Yes. I don't know if you remember, Linda, but way, 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 way back, 6 years ago, when I did the first vlog and I did an eye makeup one and I used the wrong brush. And I want to tell you, every person that was, a teenager wrote to me and told me I used the wrong brush to put my eye makeup on. I don't know if any of you remember that far back. I nearly didn't do any more vlogs. It was just like so judgmental. And I'm going, it's a brush. Hi, Jamie. It's like the marketing of using the right brush for this is a foundation brush. This is a powder brush. This is, it's a brush, for goodness sake. The fact that the marketing people have designed them all differently to do different things is their brilliance, in my view. What was it I was thinking about the other day that is like that? There's something else where we used to be able to get away with just one, and now, because of all the marketing, we have to have 10 of them. I'll remember what it is one day, but I'll talk about it. By the way, if anybody's got any news updates, any of you that have come in since we started this, and you want to give us a news update, please do so, and we'll take notes and add it to this evening's broadcast for the people to be updated. How about a crust eaten in peace is better than a banquet partaken in anxiety? If you're feeling stressed, you might want to think about that. Take a moment, just go outside and look at the trees and the wonder of trees. Or go outside and breathe some fresh air and be grateful that you can feel the cold or the warmth or the whatever. And just doing that for a split second will ease your mind. If people concentrated on the really important things in life, there'd be a shortage of fishing poles. How many of you can relate to that one? I remember going out with somebody once who liked to fish until he met me. It's a big memory of my life. I really messed up fishing for him. Anyway, yeah, never mind. I remember it because I know somebody said to me many years later that they had met him, and he said, I used to really love fishing, and then I met Sal. And he said, fishing's so quiet without Sal. And I'm not sure I enjoy that anymore. Well, because whenever I went fishing with him, things would go wrong. And then I decided, well, maybe, hi there, Kim. And then I decided maybe I should learn how to fish. You know what I mean? Maybe that would keep me quiet. So I did. And I kept catching big fish, and how excited I got. And I'd scare all the other fish away. Yeah, never mind. All right. If you treat every situation as a life and death matter, you will die a lot of times. Yeah, some things are just not as serious as you think they are. Some of you will know that I had, spent 3 months or more, planning to move into a fifth wheel, and then at the last minute decided I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go into that fifth wheel. And I'm certain a lot of people will, roll their eyes and go, wow, why did you do that? Well, I did it because I wanted to let go of a whole lot of stress that was building up around it. And I didn't need that stress right at the moment. But the other thing was I gave thanks. And I was talking to somebody about this recently. And I said, it had to come into my life because it inspired me to downsize even more. Can any of you relate to that? The fact that I thought I was going into a fifth wheel made me downsize a lot faster and a lot more. And I'm really quite pleased that I had that time to think that's what I was going to do, because it really helped me. I see life as a series of steps that are there to teach us something. How many of you agree with me on that one? They're not pass and fail things. They're just there to teach us a lesson of some sort. And if you can see life, both good and bad. I was talking to somebody who, lost a friend recently. They died. And I said to them, is there a birth in the family somewhere? And they said, yes. I said, yeah, isn't that weird how that happens? That, somebody gets taken away and somebody or something gets added. It's like a progression. Maybe it's the birth of an idea that happens, a new business starts or whatever. But what I'm noticing is that, and I think it's somewhere in the Bible, isn't it, that the Lord taketh and the Lord giveth. And it's just like, it is amazing how that seems to happen. And when you say to people, watch out for the return, if something has left, then expect something has already arrived and you just haven't realized it, or something is about to arrive. And it may not be what you think you want, but it will probably be what you need. All right, so this one is from George Burns. And for those of you who know George Burns, great guy, very funny. If you ask what is the single most important key to longevity, by the way, he lived to 100 or just under, I would have to say that it is avoiding worry, stress, and tension. And if you didn't ask me, I'd still have to say it. So let's read that again. If you ask what is the single most important key to longevity, I would have to say it is avoiding worry, stress, and tension. And if you didn't ask me, I'd still have to say it. And I am beginning to get this big time. That everything that is stressful, we do to ourselves. Right? And I'm really working on that this year. If it's stressful, I did it to myself. If it's emotional, I did it to myself. Because these are not facts, these are feelings. And if they are feelings, then I did it to myself. And, I'm getting much better at it. Yeah, he was 100. He did make it to 100, yeah. And really amazing. And he made it to 100 and kept, I think he worked almost to his last day. He still was performing well into his late 90s that I know of. And Linda, I think learning to meditate is a wonderful thing. But I also believe that getting these little mantras going, it is what it is. Just move on. It's not a fact. It's an emotion. Just move on. Or I've lost everything on the hard drive. Yeah, I think I have. If I ever get the money and I feel like it, I will get somebody to open it. Oh, by the way, I said, can't you open up that hard drive and put it in a different thing? No, this isn't made that you can open it. And I'm going, I bet I could open it. I still might. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, right. So, but it was like, there's no point worrying about it. If it's gone, it's gone. And if I come across somebody who thinks they can have a look at it, I'll let them try. So don't anticipate trouble or worry about what may never happen. Just keep in the sunlight. Yes, I think, the mantras are really important, Linda. Linda's saying the mantras come before I think of meditation. Yeah, I find having these little affirmations, if you like, correct me more quickly. And there was one point, Linda, that you probably can relate to this. There was one point when I was creating, doing craft stuff, and I was thinking, why do I do this? It can be so stressful. And then I went, you do it because you love the outcome. And the stressful is when you can't do it as fast or as well as you'd like to. So breathe, keep going. You will get this. And this next time you have to do this, it will be so much easier. And that is what that I found. There was something that I wondered whether I could do with my die cutting machine. And I kept thinking, it is such a smart machine. I'm certain I could do this. I just didn't know how to do it. And so being me, I went to Google and I went, hello, Google, is it possible to? And they popped up with a video. And I looked at this video and I went, you're joking. It's that easy? No. And then I went, okay, let me try that. Yes, Kim, one day at a time. So I've now got blocks of, and I know this is the way that goal setting works, but I've got the big goal and then I'm breaking it down into very small goals. And I just take one step at a time. And that's why we call this broadcast One Step at a Time, because this is the most important time of the year to do one step at a time. Beating up on yourself because you haven't done all your Thanksgiving shopping, for those of you in the States, it really isn't going to help you. Going and doing the shopping is going to help you. Or not knowing what you're going to cook will cause stress. If you know what you're going to cook, you're halfway there. But for some of you, the decoration is more important than anything. Now, I'm struggling, and I wouldn't mind some input on this. I'm struggling whether to actually put up Christmas decorations this year, because why make that much mess when I'm trying to get ready to sell the house after Christmas, right? And then I thought, something, what if I saw it first of all, do you understand why it could be stressful to do that? Yeah, I've got to get the tree up and put everything on it. And then when I, get everything down from the tree, and it's going to make a mess everywhere. And then I thought, something, I could look at this completely differently. I could look at it completely differently. What if I brought everything to do with Christmas upstairs? Everything, every box that I've got, and I've got a lot of them. And I decorated one last time in this house. I decorated, and then I choose what to put in a box and go back to the garage. In the meantime, how much space will I have made in the garage when I take all these boxes out? Can any of you see that there's possibly a very good reason to bring everything up and decorate this year? Yeah, Jody can see it, right? And I'm going, it would clear so much space in my garage, which I could then fill with the boxes that are now. It's a way to sort. Yes, what if I don't think about it as a waste of time or effort? It's a way to sort. And by the way, if you think about it, I could actually be hacking quite a lot of it as I'm getting it out of the boxes. Yes, and I will enjoy it too, seeing the decorations. Yes, I must admit. And I don't have to do a lot. I just have a different mentality now. Go through all of it and get rid of it. Exactly, Kim. So this will be the way that I do it. Do you understand? That stops it being a stressful thing and makes it a better thing for me. By the way, I don't think I need 2 Christmas trees, do you? And I said to Yvonne, you do know that this tree is yours, not mine. And she said, no, it's not. And I said, oh, yeah, it is. It came from one of your relatives 20 years ago. It's your tree. But you never wanted to put the tree up in your place because it was too big. Oh, hello, Erin. We were wondering how you were doing. We love the hair, Erin. No, I don't do Christmas decorations well. It's not one of my skills. You know, I less is more for me. I'll put up the tree. I will put up the tree and I will put a couple of knickknacks up, and that's Christmas. To me, Christmas is much more about the gifts, the wrapping of the gifts, and that sort of thing. I'm not big into impressing people with my brilliant skills at Christmas decorations. And that's fine. I'm fine with it. You know, less is more is great for me. But I do like to have the tree. As you know, some of you have seen my tree, and I do like to do the tree. And of course, I like doing it when Cody was here, and then Cody's son, Zach, was here, and we would do it together. But I can still do it. Hi, Andy. How are you doing? Good to see you, honey. Now, this is a special quote for some of you. Are you ready for this one? Take a deep breath. Such a great quote. How beautiful it is to do nothing and then rest afterwards. Yeah, Jody is saying they have a 4-foot tree, and she thinks that's little. And then immediately, it was interesting that Linda said, oh no, Kim said, I've got a 2-foot tree to downsize. Yeah, that deep relaxation. Learn to do nothing and then rest after doing nothing. That's the ultimate, right? Oh, Erin's saying that she's going to try purple next. I think purple will look really good too. I'm thinking, no, you know what I think would look really good with you, Erin, just my view, is maybe one tone up from the pink to like a more a lavender. I don't know why. I can see that sort of lavender color. Do you know what I'm talking about? Rather than deep purple, I can see a lavender, yeah. Oh, that's just me. Yeah, Andy's saying, I need to relax more. I've been pushing myself too hard lately, and my mental states have been drained because I do. Do you have any tips for relaxing? We've been doing a whole broadcast on it. So listen to the whole of this broadcast from the beginning, because that's exactly what we're talking about. You understand that stress is something that we do to ourselves, Andy. Right? We do it to ourselves by bad planning or not allowing enough time for things, not consistently working through. I haven't decided to buy anything yet, Kim. Again, I've got to get this house sold, and then I will concentrate on that. I'm concentrating on getting ready. Yeah, I really, Andy, I would recommend you listen to the front end of this if you haven't been there all the time. It's because we're talking about that. Rest is not idleness, and to lie sometimes on the grass under the trees on a summer's day, listening to the murmur of water or watching the clouds float across the sky is by no means a waste of time. For any of you who are creative, have you ever taken the time to relax and wait for the inspiration to hit you? I am amazed, and Jody will attest to this. I will be amazed that sometimes I'm going, I have absolutely no idea what I should be talking about at this week's broadcast. Yeah, I'm sure you can imagine that, right? When I do 3 broadcasts, 3 broadcasts a week. And I will literally go, wonder what I should talk about today. Oh, not today, but this week. And some weeks, right at the beginning of the week, I will get really inspired that, okay, I need to do this, this, and this. And then I will start planning the broadcast. And then other days, I have absolutely no idea. And it was so funny because I had no idea what it was I was going to talk about today at this broadcast. I knew about the next one, but I didn't know about this one, one step forward, one step at a time. And I started to stress out about the fact I didn't have a subject. And I went, oh, keeping calm. But it always comes to me. Yes, Jody, it does. Because what I do is I get really calm and I go and I wait for what comes into my head. And I go, that's a good idea. Thank you. Yeah, I'm certain I'm not the only one that needs that. And quite honestly, I don't know about the rest of you, but I needed this one. I needed to read these quotes. They're great. Now, this comes from Mahatma Gandhi, and he said, there is more to life than increasing its speed. There is more to life than increasing its speed. One of the greatest things I have found about retirement is, boy, did I push myself too hard all my life. It wasn't my natural speed at all. And yet the funny thing is, hi, Beth. I have so much to thank you for, Beth, and I did at the beginning of the broadcast, I hope. Good to see you. And Winston Churchill said, when I look back at all these worries, I remember the story of the old man who said on his deathbed that he'd had a lot of trouble in his life, most of which never happened. Yeah, so much of what we stress about never happens. Beth, I was saying earlier, and I will say it again while you're here, and our new people are here, but I just wanted to let you know, your whole thing about meal prepping has changed my life in a lot of ways. And I really want to thank you. And if I hadn't started doing that, I would not have discovered peanut butter and honey is the greatest dip for vegetables that ever was made, or that I have made. And Jody also thanks you. And I know that Jody also thinks that peanut butter and honey is the greatest dip. And it was all because you said you were picking up the bills in the mail. Yeah, the invoice, yeah. But it's really funny. And tell Charles, I've just been talking about my hard drive as a case study in this. So if you get a chance, listen to the bit about the hard drive and see what Charles has to say about it for me. What veggies do you suggest? I don't know. I because of this whole thing that Beth does, I have, the little plastic glass things you get at the dollar store. I fill those up with celery, carrots, and cauliflower. By the way, for those of you who have a problem eating even baby carrots, and because they're hard, bad for your teeth like that, just nuke them for a couple of minutes to soften them. Or, if you're doing it for somebody else and they've got a problem eating raw carrots, it's just helps soften them up a little bit and without totally nuking them to pieces. Yes, and Andy's saying that his favorite dip is peanut butter or caramel in onions. Now, caramel, I'm not taking because that's all sugar. And I think Beth would tell me, Beth talks to me a lot now. Beth will tell me that's all sugar and that's not good for you. Whereas peanut butter is actually good for you. You know, it contains good stuff, good fat and stuff. So the same way as Beth, I really thank you for your comment about, you know, don't make smoothies, make your stomach be the, you know, the magic bullet. That makes so much sense. I realize, Beth, that my downfall now is actually the fact that I start my day with oatmeal. I realize I get most of my carbs from my oatmeal now. And so I've got to think about not having oatmeal for breakfast every day. I need to drop that down a bit. Although I believe it's good for me. So, and also, excuse me, you know, I thank Jody for introducing me to the moringa powder and also how to make what I call my dynamite pills. I've learned how to make my own capsules, and I now mix up. What do I mix up? Black pepper, cinnamon, and turmeric, and then put them in capsules. Boy, you certainly know you've eaten those things. So the rule number 1 is not to sweat the small stuff, and rule number 2 is it is all the small stuff. All right, so yeah, Kim is saying that's what I eat, but I stay under the recommended carbs. And by the way, Kim, dictated by her doctor. So how many carbs? Yes, I put ginger in them as well. You're quite right. How many carbs are you keeping under? Jody says her breakfast has been carrots, celery, and 2 hard-boiled eggs. Now, how do you manage that when you're only meant to eat about 6 eggs a week? Is that 35% carbs, Kim? Or 35 what? Yeah, I must admit that it's a very interesting thing. If you're going to be taking supplements, by the way, I asked my doctor, Jody, just as a matter of interest, I forgot to mention that. I did ask my doctor, what did he think about moringa powder? And if you could have seen his face, I just saw his face and I went, don't worry, trying to answer that one. It was like, he'd never heard of it. Beth probably knows. Beth? Okay, so Jody's saying every other day, you only eat the egg whites. So you have 2 hard-boiled eggs every other day. And it's only the egg whites? Okay. Carbs. We're talking about carbs. What percentage of carbs should we have ideally? Should we be heading towards? Let's put it that way. And I want to tell you, Beth, mixing brown rice with white rice just made such a difference to me. I can't believe you can't taste the difference. If you mix the 2 together, it's just like tastier white rice. Oh, okay. So Jody's saying she has them every other day. So that's 6. So Yeah, but as a percentage, it would be the same, surely. No, not necessarily. Okay, I get it. All right. Good point. Beth, I just want to tell you, since I've been meal prepping and doing the moringa and the dynamite pills, as I call them, I can feel that I am beginning to increase energy. It's very slow, but it's beginning. So I thank you all. You know, it's like everything else, one step forward. I believe that in a way, my diet is changing and it's changing for the better, but I'm doing it like little baby steps and it doesn't feel so bad. You know, it's not a major change. And yet, I don't know why. This week, I hardly had, I don't think I had any bread this week. I allow myself bread on Sundays. Yeah, I allow myself to have bread on Sundays now. But the rest of the week, I substitute bread for something else. So, and in fact, I very rarely even have that, whereas I probably would have bread every day. Right, so Beth's saying she does 30 to 45%, depending on the body's needs for that day. Okay, so that's good to know. Yeah. But I definitely can feel the difference. Now, the next thing I need from you, Beth, and you'll excuse me if I have this conversation because it might be too much information for some people. What do you recommend for the gas from all the from all the vegetables? Yeah. It's like, really? Yes, but the interesting thing is if you can't have gluten, you can still make bread, but make gluten-free bread. I was, you know, I know people who have a gluten intolerance and eat bread. I'm pretty sure I've seen it at the supermarket where it's got gluten-free bread. Oh, is it yuck? Well, why don't you make your own? It tastes like sand. But what if you added, you know, what if you made your own and added honey, if you're allowed honey? I don't know. I'm just trying to think, you know, I think I'd be working, that would be my next experiment then, Kim, which is what can you make, put into your bread that you are allowed to eat that tastes good? Or make flatbread. You know, if you remember, my first change up was to go away from my usual crackers and start eating wasa light rye crisp bread. And yeah, so you know, this is how magical things are created. Is when people, you know, don't like what they have available to them, they start making their own, and it's better than. And then some people market it. Look at Paul Newman, right? When he was making his own salad dressings and stuff, and everybody loved them so much that he's decided he was going to sell them, and he gave all that money to charity. Yes, gluten-free flour is expensive, but if it makes you bread that you can enjoy. Tell me something, Beth or Kim. Are you allowed to eat? Are you allowed to eat oatmeal? I don't know whether oatmeal has got gluten in it. I would think it probably has. And the last quote I wanted to give you on this set was, don't underestimate the value of doing nothing, of just going along, listening to all the things you can't hear and not bothering. Just not bothering. How many of us That came from Winnie the Pooh. How many of us need to reread Winnie the Pooh? You know what I mean? And get some of that incredible logic out of Winnie the Pooh. Yes, and that's what I thought, because I make oatmeal flour. I just, Kim, I actually put my oatmeal into a blender and turn it into flour and make stuff with it. Or I cut it into, use it with real flour. I haven't tried almond flour yet, but that's probably something else I'm going to try. I would think that's quite tasty. Has anybody tried that? Well, Erin, maybe, and Jody, if you could just make a note of that for me, I'd appreciate it. That I will do a broadcast on quotes from Winnie the Pooh. What do you think? I do mine. I do mine in my magic bullet. You don't need a big one. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I think that would help a lot of us to start going back, over some of those wisdoms. And if you can think of Velvet Rabbit, right? That had a whole lot of good stuff in it as well. Jody, I know that you really understand the point that I'm trying to make here. So if you could help me and, think about some of those books that Pooh is cute. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought you'd like that. The Wisdom of Pooh, we'll call it. And, we'll get some quotes and we'll start, because I think it's really important. There was some really good stuff. We didn't understand it at the time. We thought it was just a story. But, really, it had a lot of good wisdom in it. Including, don't underestimate the value of doing nothing. However, do you get it once and for all? And we will keep talking about it as we do these broadcasts. That if it's emotional, it is your stuff, right? If you are emotionally stressed, that is stress you have put on yourself. The Velveteen Rabbit. Yes, that's the one I wanted. Yeah. So just keep it out for me, if you will, Joan, just so that I can have a look at some of the quotes, because I bet you we could find some great ones to do broadcasts with. So, I look at it and I'm going, I want to thank you all. And I will say it again when I do this evening's broadcast on the Christmas issue. But I am probably, because we did the broadcast last week. Yes, Erin, you're right. It's a way to make our inner kids happy again. Yeah, let's do that. Anyway, but because of the broadcast we did last week about, let's count down to Christmas, you do realize that I'm probably farther ahead in Christmas stuff than I've been in years. And it's because I actually did go, okay, let me do that. And I did understand when the mailing dates were for things. And I know that I've got to get things into the mail, within the next week, if possible, that need to go overseas, for example. And so the cards, and it's just like, that's all I need to do is do it. And then I don't know about the rest of you, but I've started planning the order in which presents need to be sorted out. In other words, you all know that I'm going down to December. And, I need all those presents. And, the worst thing is that I normally take a little something for each of the regular members of the December team. So, it's like, yeah, right, that's rather a lot of presents. Little things, just something that I've made that says I thought of them. And so, it's just like, yikes, that's a lot of people. But if I keep doing it the way I'm doing it, I'll probably get it all done. And how many of you have ever gone to Christmas or Thanksgiving and not being done. You see, that's the other thing. We always, if you think about it, we always get everything done for these big celebrations. Our choice is whether we do them in panic or not. Now, my sister, bless her heart, is one of the best entertaining people I know. And she prepares everything for those sort of things like a week before almost. Do you know what I mean? And I have decided, starting this coming week, I am going to do 1 cookie dough a week. And it was funny because, was it you, Jody, that mentioned my dipped marshmallows? My chocolate dipped marshmallows are definitely to die for. And the other thing is, I should do that in the Christmas broadcast. We'll talk about some of those things, but I've even put the order in already to pick up the pecans for my homemade turtles. Yes, Linda's saying she'll do very minimal this year. She's going to do less, not more. Yeah, what I love about those marshmallows is every year I change up what I've got on them. You know, I'll dip them in hot chocolate. I mean, I'll dip them in chocolate, warm chocolate, melted chocolate, and then, you know, broken up score bars, really, really good. Or I'll dip them in white chocolate, and then I'll dip them in sprinkles, you know. And so it's really, I find it, and you quite honestly, just with chocolate or nuts, you know, if you're allowed to eat nuts, you know, dip it in chocolate and then into nuts. So, and that's what I do. I buy the pecans to make my own turtles. And then I should talk about this tonight because it's Christmas stuff. Yeah. Hundreds and thousands is what you and I would call it, but they don't call it that here in North America. Yeah, I know exactly of what you speak. Yeah. So, you know, it's fun because every year I change up, and, you know, and some of them I will always do the score bits because they're so tasty. You know, it's just like, yeah. And the worst thing, of course, it takes me so long to make them because it requires a great deal of quality control. Have you found that, Jody, when you make them, that it's necessary to do, you know, as soon as the chocolate is hard, you know, as soon as it's cooled down that much, that the quality control is essential to making of good marshmallows. Yeah. Yeah, and we're going to be talking more about this Christmas stuff tonight. So, but it's good to know. Yeah, Kerry's saying that she's going to limit the number of people she's going to buy for this year. I found one thing when I went to the dollar store, and I couldn't believe the price of it. So I'm going to share it with you this evening. Quality control when you're baking for Christmas is essential. Yes, I find yeah, it's probably why I bake for Christmas. And it's not for everybody else. It's just so I can do the quality control. Now, what I'm thinking about doing, and I did this last year for downstairs, I actually every week did a little plate of Christmas cookies to go down with this, you know, I'd sent down some cookies once a week rather than just send down a whole lot on Christmas, because we all get, hi, Alice, good to see you. You know, we all get, you know, those sort of things. And I go, why do we just do it on Christmas? Why don't we just, you know, do a little bit every week for people? I think a lot of people are downsizing the amount of people they buy presents for. And the other thing is, you know, a lot of you are going to get stress from the number of people that phone you and want donations for whatever. And And I always say to them, I donate to one cause, and that you're not it. And that's okay. And it's quite all right to say that and do that. So yes, Jody, the fact that you, and even put a note in with a card and say, instead of buying you a present that you probably will never use, we've donated to the Angel Tree at church. I think that's a great way of doing it, yes. Yeah, I've found that the number of calls I'm getting has increased, and so that's just it. It's like, hello, I wish I had money to give it to everybody, but I don't. And so now but on the other hand, I'm going, what can you give? In other words, every month I put something out for the diabetes people, so that they can pick up and make money from it and maybe help somebody else. Yes, Kerry, we've been talking about Thanksgiving, and before you arrived, I don't know if you were ghosting or not, but we have been talking about that. Yes, Linda says, we've decided on minimalizing this year. As we sat and discussed what each person bought, and those extra dollars are just not worth it. Yes, I think that's why I actually do stealth shopping. Don't feel bad. Kim, don't feel bad. You can't give to every cause. Don't feel badly about it. It's a fact. Why feel bad? Why beat up on yourself for a reality? The reality is, I assure you that when I was working, I could afford to donate a lot more than I do now. Yes, Alice is making crochet scarves for the family this year. And whether they wear them or not is irrelevant, Alice, right? You're just responsible for your side. You crocheted with love. Well, yeah, and no, it's fine, Kerry. That's why I'm saying that, we were talking about how to take the stress out of Thanksgiving. So I think you made a very wise choice to be catching up with Mike. I did that one year, Alice. I knitted scarves or crocheted scarves for everybody, and I'm certain that half of them didn't wear them, and I don't mind. Because I'm pretty sure they would have donated them somewhere. And that's what I said when I gave them. Hey, if you don't wear it, don't worry, just donate it to somebody who can use it. Yeah, I think that, this is why I'm talking, and that's why I was saying this about staying calm. Kim, if you feel stressed about not being able to give to anybody, it's not helping anybody, and it's just harming you. So I don't feel badly by saying, I'm sorry, this is my budget, and this is what I will donate. I assure you, every year, I would love to give thousands to December, but I don't. I give what I can afford, and it's not very much. But I give my time all year, as some of you know. That is my donation to December. It's not money, it's time. Yes, Alice, you're right. It's, something you can multitask, and so it's a win-win. So, this is, it's really... All right, you're saying that you have to give what you can. You choose to give what you can, and it's okay. Yeah. And Linda says, I can afford a set amount, and it's my budget, and it's okay. You don't have to compare yourself to anybody. Everybody who knows me knows that they're going to get some crafty thing for Christmas. Right? It's a fact. And they will get stocking stuffer stuff and something that I have made. Now, Yvonne, I will buy a gift card for. And wait, I normally buy them gift cards so that they can get what they want. But other than that, I will be making stuff. Yes, Kerry. Yeah, and so anyway, we'll be talking more about this on this evening's broadcast when we're talking about Christmas. So, wow, you're in a lot of pain, Alice. I'm sorry to hear that. Did they find out what's going on yet? Thank you, Michael. Yeah, I was saying it almost matches. It is pink, but it almost matches. It's the just the purpley side of pink, right? So, Alice, I'm sorry to hear that you're in pain. Has anybody tried that quell thing that they advertise over here? Well, thank you, Lionel. By the way, did Lionel? All right, I have to tell you this. I saw something that was written this week and it cracked me up. And, you know, it had to do with what's going on in the White House. It said, you know, in the next edition of Survivor, West Wing edition, I just thought that is so funny. You've got 3 slip discs, plus 1 ruptured one and severe arthritis. No wonder you're in pain. Well, I'm glad he's still laughing because, you know, the funny thing was, I knew that you would find it funny, but I thought Lionel is going to love that. I don't know why I felt that, but it was like, I've got a feeling Lionel's going to really like that. The West Wing edition. Yeah. So that's what I wondered. Has anybody tried that quell thing? Anybody who suffers from pain? I've often wondered whether that thing works. All right, so Jody's saying she's heard that it's fantastic. I haven't met anybody that's tried it, and that's why I wanted to ask the viewers. So if anybody's watching this on the replay and tried it, the other thing I want to know if anybody's tried and does it work is that board that you put your feet on and it vibrates and meant to stimulate your legs and things. You literally sit. And then put your feet on it and it vibrates and creates circulation and stuff improvement. So, all right. So Alice is saying she's going to a private hospital on Monday to have a new MRI. Yes, Kim, it is for pain. It's like the best way I can describe it, Kimmy, is it's like a blood pressure sleeve, a cuff that you put on, but it actually has something, an electrode of some sort that then stimulate, you wear it on your leg, I think, and you think you also can wear it on your arm. Oh, that's interesting. Jody says it does work. People on her lymphoderma board use it and say they love it. I did wonder about that. All right. So is that the board or is that the quell? Jody, I just wonder which it is. The board. Well, yeah, it was a toss-up. It was, it's funny. I wondered about that for you. Yeah. How expensive are they? Do we know? Does anybody know? Okay, Alice, I wish you all the best and please keep us updated. I really would appreciate that. And Jody, if you can just make a note so I remember to update people this evening about Alice. Yeah, expensive, like how expensive? Because everything's expensive. Thanks, honey. I appreciate it. Let us know what they say. You know, a lot of people still do watch and care. Yeah, it's called Quell. That footboard is over $1,000. Are you serious? Wow. And you know, next time I see it, I'll investigate it a bit more. Or wow, that's really amazing price. Part of me is going, sure, we could make it for less than that. The MacGyver part of me. Ah, okay. So that'd be the professional one versus the home version. Well, I'm pretty sure that if the home version does anything, it probably is a little better. It's like anything else, Jody. When they first come out, they're very expensive, and then as the production runs are bigger, the price comes down. You know, whoever thought we'd be able to buy a laptop for $500? I mean, seriously. You remember when we first saw laptops, and Edgar was saying, you remember the first time you saw a Walkman? And you're going, wow, look at that technology. And then how many of you remember the boom boxes being carried on your shoulder because you wanted to take music with you? No, you don't have to stand on it, Jody. That's the whole thing about it. You can sit and put your legs on it. To get the phlegm out of your throat and lungs, Kim, do you not have a therapist who does that for you? I know how to get it out, but you need a friend to do it for you. Linda remembers the boom boxes. Yep. Wow. Okay. So do you have a family member or a friend that visits you fairly often? The reason I know how to do it is because I had to have an emergency operation one time, and I had problems with phlegm in my throat and lungs at the time. And I know exactly how they got rid of it. And I've actually helped other people since then. Mind you, you'd have to find out from your medical professional whether it's okay to do it. But I know how to do it. Literally, just if you've got anybody that comes to visit you, and when anybody comes to visit you, get them to do it if it's okay with your doctor. And just lie on your side, all right? And make sure you've got something to cough the phlegm into, because that's going to be important. But literally, if they just take their hands like this and just go like this up your side through your rib cage, right? So you get your arms out of the way and then just let them go like this, gently up and down your rib cage. You'll be amazed how much that clears. Kimmy, do you have a church people anywhere? You know, I keep saying to people, if you haven't got friends, if you haven't got people that care about you, contact your local church, for goodness sake. There are people that care, and they don't really mind that you are not a parishioner. Just let them know you need help. Yeah. And so to me, it's like, let them know you just need somebody who can come in maybe a couple times a week and help you clear the phlegm out of your lungs. You let them know why you need it, not just that you're being a wuss. This is like, I can't do it for myself. I need somebody to help me. And I think we forget that there are good people in the world, right? We forget that there are good people in the world that want to help and want to take the time, that have the time and are prepared to share it. What is the VNA? I presume the A is for association, but I'd like to know what VNA is. Yes, I'm surprised that Kim can't get that, because I would think that would be vital, that if she's got that build-up happening, that it would be vital that it gets cleared. Visiting Nurses Association. Really? That's awesome. Yep, there you go. That's exactly what she needs. And so one of the things that I had talked to my doctor about was, I have this groin muscle that I keep pulling. And, he said to me, physio would probably help it, but you don't have a plan anymore, right? I mean, as good as the Canadian system is, for me to get physio would require money that, and I just went, no, but I'll find other ways to do it. So that's what I'm doing now is, just making sure that I stretch properly and try and help myself. And, there's a lot of physio that you can do for yourself if you think about it. Well, no, and this is the whole thing, Kimmy. There are other ways, all right? Yes, Kim, and that's why we all meet up. We all meet up every week, not just for the sake of listening to Sal talk. It's because we have a whole group of people who know things, all right? And my attitude is, if you've got that buildup happening and you need help, then we need to get some ideas to you so that you can find a way of doing it. Good. All right, guys, I need to go and do what I need to do. So in the meantime, we'll be back this evening to talk Christmas again. 'Tis the season to be jolly. That's the series. And we're taking one step at a time towards Christmas. And we know that Thanksgiving is a week away, but we're going to head towards Christmas, because if you haven't got yourselves organized for Thanksgiving yet, I can imagine that you probably don't want to be talking about Christmas. But the rest of us, we need to start, because that way we're going to make it a jolly Christmas, not a miserable one. So thank you all for being here. I hope some of the quotes that we had today will help you feel a bit more calm. Remember, please, it is what it is, and it takes as long as it takes. And the only way you get out of the stress is to do the things that are causing you stress, to finish them, as Pat said, right? If you finish them, there is no more stress about them. So let's finish them early and enjoy the season. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your contribution. This wouldn't be the same without you, because we wouldn't be here. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, remember to look after one another, but most of all, look after yourself. Big hugs. Bye-bye for now. I think. Any minute now.